Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bharti and welcome to TFIR Let's Talk. And we have with us today two guests from Commit USA, Max Nirenberg, Chief Revenue Officer and Managing Director, and Arik Faingold, Chairman and President of the company. Arik, Max, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Very happy to be here. Thank you, Swapnil.
Let's start with the company. Tell me a bit about Commit USA. What is the company all about? What problem you folks are trying to solve there?
So, there is a saying that we are limited in our ability to dream, right? So, in other words, if we can dream it, we can make it happen. And that's what Commit is all about. It's about helping our customer to fulfill their dreams. When they have a high-tech idea, all right, something innovation, then we come and we help them to build it and make the dream come true. We come from Israel, which is a startup nation. We have 500 people in multidisciplinary skills that help us to basically face and innovate almost any idea that you can come up with. Coming from, generating water out of air, or turning simple cameras into violence detection cameras that can automatically detect violence activity, or building a virtual hacker for conducting automated penetration testing activities, helping organizations to find their loopholes before a real hacker will do. That's just few examples of things that we've helped companies to achieve among 1,000 different ideas that we've done over the years.
You help companies achieve the dream. So I do understand the vision side of the company, but I want to understand the core. What does the company do? Are you a tech service company? Just talk about the nature of the company itself.
The easiest way to define it is we're, I guess, a global tech services company that delivers cutting-edge technology solutions. Primarily, we're talking about custom software development, as well as cloud and IoT solutions. And we do this in a variety of flexible, creative offshore models. And I can explain in much more detail, but I'm thinking that's specifically what you're asking, Swapnil.
No, you explained, Max, very well. Now, if we do look at, when you do talk about custom, and since you come from Israel, and there are a lot of areas where a lot of Israeli companies are leading, like AI, ML is it's like a stronghold in that region. So are there any specific areas that Commit is focusing on, or it just depends on what your clients or customers are looking at?
So we have several main areas that we focus on. The first one would be IoT, right? Connecting devices to the internet on all its ingredients. Cloud, big data, backend, mobile application, etc. The second one, and I already mentioned it, is big data, where we have a lot of knowledge in that area, helping some of the fastest growing companies in the world. And the other area is cyber, and of course the AI and machine learning. When we deal with big data, AI comes naturally, help us to make sense out of the data and help us to connect the dots, sometimes in areas and ways that we never thought is possible.
It's kind of interesting when you mention AI, ML, IoT. The word that we live in today is so tightly knit that, if you look at IoT devices, what good are IoT devices without any AI, ML that's what they're, all the sensor, that's what they do, right? And then you cannot talk about IoT without cloud, right? And you cannot talk about cloud without security. So they're all, bundled together. I will just talk about the IoT space a bit more, because we are also talking about edge computing a lot these days. And when we talk about edge computing, we are not just talking about those IoT, embedded devices. We are talking about edge data center, where a lot of processing is happening at the edge. It could be because of the latency. It could be because of the compliance regulations. You want to process a lot of things at the edge itself. What are the trends that you are seeing in the IoT space with this emergence of course, edge is there. Then 5G is making it very, very easy to build a lot of things at the edge. So let's talk about the IoT from your perspective. What new innovation trends that you are seeing there?
Sure. So IoT is definitely one of our core focuses. I'll answer the question in a roundabout way, but I'll get there quickly. So in the U.S. specifically, Swapnil, we're focused on, besides startups, as Arik mentioned, Startup Nation. It's a huge focus. It's in our DNA. We do focus a lot on consumer packaged goods, as well as healthcare. MarTech, all the big data, AI, ML that was discussed is huge there, as well as fintech. Now, to answer your question directly, and I was hoping to give you a little color that would make sense. Consumer packaged goods and healthcare are areas where IoT is making a huge play. Right now, everybody, as Arik mentioned, effectively our limitations are our imagination. So we come up with a lot of innovations because due to COVID and a lot of other things that have happened, people are expecting perfection from user experience. But you have to be able to deliver it. And delivering it is not easy, Swapnil, you said it. They are all aligned. So we have dedicated divisions at the organizations, one of our value adds, to not just have multidisciplinary experts, but experts that know how to work together. So when you say, what are the trends? I'm seeing 35 billion IoT devices out there right now. And I believe all the statistics show we're talking about over 60 billion by 2025. So every day when I'm talking to clients and prospects, everybody's coming up with new ideas, wanting to make, things work remotely in a secure way that can actually scale.
When you say consumer packaged good, are we talking about grocery stores? Are we talking about perishables like, fruits, vegetables, meat, or we are talking about boxed items or everything?
I'll give you a couple of very simple examples that will just connect for anybody when you would think of, a Ring doorbell or a Fitbit. These are not clients of ours, but just an example of just taking an embedded, taking a hardware and having an embedded and software element associated with it. And like you said, then talking to the cloud, taking the data. I mean things of that nature, but to give actual examples, Arik, I think you'd be much better off.
Let's take the violence detection cameras that I mentioned at the beginning, right? So the violence detection cameras, you need the ability to do computing at the edge, right? So for the camera itself to be able to identify using deep learning techniques at the edge, at a device, to identify that, hey, this is a violent activity. But then it needs to also send it back to the cloud in order to complete the information and start the alerting activities so people will be able to get help in real time where it really matters. So it's all together.
One more thing that I'm curious to know more about is healthcare. What kind of solutions are you offering for the healthcare industry?
We offer the healthcare industry, first of all, IoT is one of them. Is basically taking healthcare devices, medical devices, and make them IoT devices. On top of that is helping healthcare organizations and software vendors to enhance their software, get them to the cloud, get the HIPAA compliancy, develop software using ISO 13485 compliance and regulation, all of that kind of things.
Now, when we do look at the spaces or areas that you're working on, it's not, you're not just dealing with one narrow problem. You are dealing with a lot of problems and you don't really know where the company will go. So how do you kind of help companies no matter, first of all, where they are in their journey? It's not about just in the progress of digital transformation, but how, horizontal spread as well, because you may be dealing with so many different things. So can you talk about what kind of expertise you have in-house so that doesn't really matter what companies are looking for, you have a solution ready for them?
So I think this is one of our core differentiators. I'm glad you asked the question, Swapnil, because earlier on, Arik mentioned having over 500 people in-house. The way that the company, we call it our talent powerhouse. So our powerhouse was built intentionally to support any product evolution. So we have dedicated divisions, just the software, just the embedded, just the cloud, just the cyber, just the big data. Because if you think about, as you said, as a product evolves and the next generation needs to be made, at some point, these different divisions need to know how to work together. So the idea is you can have a good plan or a good vision, but actually delivering on it is difficult. So that is definitely one of our core differentiators, is building an intentional powerhouse of people who are already in-house, ready to help.
And how are these teams operate? Are they tightly integrated or loosely coupled so that they have their own flexibility versus they're like so tight that they cannot look beyond their own department?
So each department has its own capability, but we have a very strong PMO and architecture office that combines everybody together, right? So we look at in a very holistic approach, and then we summon every department as we need them, only when we need them.
One thing is that the market is changing very rapidly, especially with the COVID. Though a lot of companies, they did have digital transformation, they did have cloud strategy, but it kind of accelerated it. Now we are kind of with vaccine there, things are settling down, and we are seeing a lot of new norms. What has this changed for your industry? Because, whatever you folks are doing, that's where everybody's heading: IoT, big data, AI. So talk about how things are rapidly changing, how it's creating new challenges for you, because everybody's moving so fast. But that also means there are new opportunities as well.
So I would like to tackle this for a second. It's an amazing question, because when I was considering joining Commit, this was one of the big conversations that Arik and I had. I mean, we spent months discussing this, and the timing felt so right. What you just described, the COVID situation, effectively in the last year, the world got comfortable with having Zoom meetings. The world got comfortable with having, the idea of creative offshoring became more and more comfortable. Effectively, people's in-house employees were effectively offshored for the last year. So it created a really, really great opportunity to basically bring the power of the globe to the United States. The one trend that I'm seeing is people who effectively were only focused on building in-house teams are now getting much more comfortable with just outsourcing unique niche talent to a company that actually can deliver exactly what they need while keeping their small critical team still in-house.
I think that, as Max mentioned, the world is flat. And we all learned during the COVID-19 that it doesn't matter if you at the same city or in different country, you will speak with each other over Zoom. And what we've learned is that we can be very efficient and effective, right? Even where we are remotely and apart from each other, using, video techniques and cloud techniques. And of course, software is all about the cloud and ability to share with each other in different locations. So no more boundaries. And therefore, we decided in 2020 to come to the US, right? Because what we offer to the Israeli startups and product companies, now we can offer to the US companies.
Today, we kind of live in a world which is kind of driven by open source. If open source has not become the default, it's a preferred model for software development. How much open source is Commit either consuming or using or contributing to?
So open source in the last few years became bigger and bigger. And we are using open source a lot and contributing to open source a lot because you don't want to reinvent the wheel where it's not needed. And today with open source, you can get a lot, all right, in order to start and build on top of that. B, when you contribute, you get it back. So open source is a very big thing for us. And in the most majority, if not all of our projects, we use open source. Of course, use under the limitations based on the relevant licenses that are needed on open source. There's still some kind of licenses that we need to take into account, but we recommend. We are expert in that field, and we continue to grow on that field as well.
Max, Arik, thank you so much for taking time out today and talk about not only the company, your focus, your goal, your expansion in the US, and the problem that you're solving for a lot of other companies. I love the conversation. I love what you folks are doing, and I would love to talk to you again. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, no, it was wonderful. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to continuing the relationship. Thank you.